In this module, we are going to discuss Key Audit Matters, Section 701, which came out in December 2018. And as always, we want to be efficient and effective, follow professional standards, and document what we have done properly. Now, I had originally thought that this would have no effect on small firms, or at least that was a question, or I thought maybe it wouldn't. And I had originally thought that this would apply to public companies only. The other issue I had was there was no suggested wording. The standard setters are actually quite proud of the fact that they did not suggest wording, because they asserted that each key audit matter would be so different that they didn't need to suggest wording. And of course, the wording as time has gone by has become standard. So there now is quote-unquote suggested wording, which you can find by looking at what other people have done for key audit matters. So I thought I would just wait and see what evolved. Now, who does this apply to? Well, it clearly applies to public companies 7016A and B, but it also says any other client the auditor wants in paragraph C. And really the only reason for this complicated A, B, and C is it actually applied first to smaller entities, that's paragraph C, and then A and B were kind of a phased implementation for public companies. So auditors of smaller clients need to take note, because perhaps they need to do this. And as an aside, in the United States, it's called critical audit matters, not key audit matters. It's similar, but not the same. Now, what's it for? When do we include a key audit matter? And the answer is in 7019. And basically it says if you ever use the word significant in the audit file, you have a key audit matter. If you have a significant risk, if you think there are significant transactions, if the auditor or management has made significant judgments, it's a key audit matter. So for instance, particularly if you assess risk of material misstatement as significant, you probably, and I guess almost certainly, have a key audit matter. So anytime in the audit file that you've used the word significant, you pretty much need to include a key audit matter. Now, it's not supposed to be a qualification, 701.12. And I think it's implied and presented as this is not a qualification, because people get upset and call loans if the opinion is qualified. So there's kind of an implication that it's not a qualification, though what the standards say, it's not a substitute for a qualification. So if you need a qualification on going concern, having a key audit matter on going concern is not a substitute for that qualification. Though you could have a qualification on going concern and a key audit matter on going concern, or one or the other. So you need to be a little careful as you phrase your opinion. The other thing is, if you read the key audit matter carefully, it has all the characteristics of a qualification. It says this could be wrong. And it's sort of a very detailed scope disclaimer. This was really hard to audit. We couldn't figure it out. So it's not supposed to be a qualification. And that was one of the concerns I had. Would users of financial statements think that a key audit matter was a qualification? Well, apparently it's been accepted as not a qualification, and the bad things that occur in users' opinions with a qualification don't occur with a key audit matter. So it's not a qualification, but it basically contains all the words that a qualification would have. Now, is there a prescribed form or wording? No, there is not. So if you want to go to standards, you want to write your first key audit matter, you want to go to standards and find out what you should say. There is no prescribed wording or form. It's only very general. And what you do is describe how you audited it. You say why it was very hard to audit, but there's no example given in standards. But of course, it's been around for a while now, so many people have come up with wording, and the wording has become standard. So you can find standard wording if you want, just not in professional standards. And of course, we provide documentation. Now, what are the benefits of a key audit matter? And the one advertised in standards is it makes the audit report more transparent. Now, I do not like it when I see people describing things as more transparent, because almost always I find that they have become less transparent when they say they're more transparent. I would say that these key audit matters make things far less transparent. Lots of words, not sure what they mean, never mind. The other benefit is it lets readers figure out if the problem is a problem or not, how big the problem is. And this relieves management and relieves the auditor of figuring out whether or not it's a problem, and puts that responsibility on the user or the reader. Now, here's an example, and I've kind of edited it. We have identified the following issue as a key audit matter. This matter represented a significant risk of material misstatement because of some reason, and there was a high degree of estimation uncertainty. Significant judgment and effort was required to evaluate evidence of this item. It was hard to audit, so you, the reader, can figure out if it's a problem. Here's another example. We considered the following matter a key audit matter because of the significance of the item and significant judgments made by management in assessing impairment, which made it hard for us to audit. So management made significant judgments, we made significant judgments. You, the reader, have to figure out the significance of that. Now, both of these say in slightly different words, it was really big. It could very well be wrong. We as auditors tried our best, and you were warned. So if sometime in the future it turns out that the matter we talked about was in fact wrong, we will say, well, you were warned, we told you about it, so don't complain. You knew that this could be wrong. Now, a little difficult to find out how frequently these are being used. University of Guelph in 2020 did a study. They looked at 618 reports with 895 key audit matters, 1.5 per audit. Now they say that's a low frequency and other countries have more. There were less than 5% of the audit reports of, and obviously public companies, that had no key audit matter. They observed that the auditors who had issued a report with no key audit matters had done more work to be able to report none, because they wanted to be very, very sure that they didn't have to report something. One would think that people are now erring on the side of caution, and if maybe it's not quite big enough to be reported as a key audit matter, rather than spending time to figure that out, just report it. They observed that the wording in the beginning, because there's no standard wording in standards, that the wording all started out differently, but it's now becoming the same, you can imagine. And of course what happens is, if it was a key audit matter last year, it's probably a key audit matter this year, and terrific, we've already got the wording. The other thing they observed is this took a lot of time coming up with the report, which, seeing we bill our time to clients, is a good thing for auditors, because it allows us to increase our audit fee, and because we've warned people that something could be wrong, protect ourselves. Now, the message for big firms or from big firms is they seem to have figured this out, and I have no advice for the big firms. They've figured it out for themselves. For small firms, now perhaps there are never any significant items. So perhaps if you are a small firm, you never have to provide a key audit matter. If you do provide a key audit matter, you can explain to your client that this is a significant improvement and it provides more transparency, and maybe the client will like it and be happy with the additional fee. But beware, if you verge on thinking that something is significant, some accounting estimate is significant, some auditing, some issues, some management estimate is significant, maybe you need to provide a key audit matter reporting in your audit report. And as there's lots and lots of examples out there now, may not be difficult to find an example that someone else has used and use it to guide how you do your wording. So I think the message for small firms now is don't not pay attention to this and err on the side of providing a key audit matter and read up on all the benefits of key audit matters, and so you can tell your client of all the benefits, and you can also tell your client that even though to me it really sounds like a qualified audit opinion, you can tell them that no, it's not. Now, the other thing I worried about was that financial statement users, banks and people like that, might start to think that these were qualifications. But we've done this for a while now, and I guess financial statement users are being accustomed to key audit matters. And financial statement users might even be saying, well, how come you don't have a couple of key audit matters? Because I really liked reading about that key audit matter and why it was so hard to audit and why it might be wrong. So small firms may need to start to pay attention to this and may need to start writing these key audit matters. Now, if you tried to do this in 2018, difficult to come up with the wording, uncertain about what users' reactions would be. Now, probably easier to do. So thanks for listening.